with everything that's going on right now in Israel, I'm sure you have thoughts on that. What are your thoughts on what's going on there with Hamas and Israel?
Well, I haven't stopped thinking about it since it happened. There's so many weird things to it. First of all, of course, I'm always praying for all children of the world who are innocent and in harm's way on every side of everything. I just think maybe we're on our way to a more sane world sometime soon where people do consider the innocence of children, and that hopefully would make them more intelligent and more human, that they'd be guided by that rather than, this kind of primitive get even thing, which I hope is leaving. And I hope that's going in the past. But I feel bad for all of the innocent victims of my people. My family lives there, a lot of my family. And it's just terrifying. It's terrifying historically and geographically and politically and in every way. And then when you really break it down and look at the facts of it, it doesn't add up.
Which ones?
Well, the whole thing doesn't add up. So you have to go, what is this really? And who benefits from this, right? You always have to ask those questions. But it is weird that Israel, which is has such high technology for all this warning signs, what do you call it?
Their defense is top notch, billions and billions. We even give them billions and billions each year.
The world's best.
Yep.
None of it was
How did
functioning.
they not anticipate it?
None of it was functioning.
Well,
they got through, and then they went all the way back without one alarm sounding.
Well, according to the Wall Street Journal, I too have family there. I was just there a few months ago. I took my mother for her first time in 30 years. By the way, my mom says hi, Roseanne. Big fan.
Nice. Say hi back.
I will. She's probably watching this, smiling right now. But you talked about having family there. I was just there. I saw the protests that were going on the ground. They're protesting against Bibi Netanyahu, sort of a Trump-like figure, famous, political. He's been around forever. But in one capacity, they think that they took their eyes off the ball. Lesson that can be learned here in America today. While you're creating divisiveness internally, there's always someone externally willing to attack you. Thank God that we have the Atlantic and the Pacific.
But it doesn't seem that way when their own infrastructure didn't work.
Well, here's the point.
So what does that mean? That means, and I've been trying to say this to Jewish people for 100 years, and to Americans and to everybody, there's an enemy within. And I think we all know that. And what are we going to do about it? You can't ignore it. And, you look at Israel and everything that's going on there, and they have basically the same problem that we have here in America. People who hate the place they live. They hate the government that they live under. So, I think that, like a lot of people say, Egypt warned them 3 to 5 days ahead that it was coming, and they did nothing. So what does it really mean? Was it allowed? Was it like Pearl Harbor, where they say that our president knew that it was going to happen? But, to do nothing was more expedient than to do something, because doing something might have made it worse. But, then you have to look at the fact that I thought it was weird. I don't know if we can talk about this on your show, but that those vaccines were tested on Jewish people in Israel. And, is this a captive population that the owners of the world think they can use as lab rats again and again and again, even in their own state? I mean, is it that big? Is it that horrible? And I kind of think, yeah, it is. And I think that the people that were protesting for judicial reform is just like when they overturned Roe v. Wade here. because it was a law created by judicial fiat, which is anything but American. When a bunch of judges decide what the law is going to be, the laws are supposed to be made by people who elect legislators to pass those laws, but instead that law was created by judges, and that isn't how our country works. That was a beginning of the overthrow of our country, I think, and the same was in Israel. People were upset that their left-wing judges were creating law there, and they were sick of it. And so the way the American press covers it is that, it was a right-wing, blah, blah. But it wasn't. It was a people's. And they always seem to frame anything that comes from the people as a right-wing thing.
Populist.
Yeah, they don't like populism for sure. But, I think that a lot of people who were... I've been to Israel, and a lot of people there are... like the left here, they're very privileged. They're very, like those educated people I talked about before, they're very arrogant and they're very privileged, and they don't care about people, on the ground or do the real work that makes things go. They have nothing but contempt for them, and because they're elitist. And I think that was a lot of that too. So I think about why did it happen and what does it all mean? And of course, then I get really upset too, because that was my tweet that I got fired over.
Mm-hmm. The Valerie Jarrett tweet.
Yeah, that they unleashed. Everybody. Liberals think that Planet of the Apes, I guess, they think it's a movie about black people because they are that racist. But it was actually Rod Serling himself who wrote it, said it was a movie about the German Holocaust of Jews at the beginning of it. And so I knew that Iran deal that Obama and Jarrett had authored was to unleash Planet of the Apes in Israel. And it did. And that's exactly what happened. And the ultimate end of it that they desire is a military lockdown state. And I think they did it there to test it, to bring it here and do it here next. Because you saw all those people that were out in every major blue city that were, celebrating what happened to Jewish people. They were flying Palestinian flags and pro-Hamas. I mean, we have Hamas in our Congress, but
yeah, when you look at Ilhan Omar,
what do you mean? They have the Palestinian flag outside her office with her door closed.
Can you pull that up, Rob?
Well, the point that I was trying to make to you is like, how could this happen? How could this happen?
Well, how did it happen that we are allowing? People say that a lot of the people that are coming across our border are Hamas. And those kind of people, they are coming from the middle.
What?
Of course I do.
What percentage of people you think cross the border are Hamas?
I'll tell you right now, Roseanne, not to cut you off, 160 terror watch list suspects were caught at the U.S.-Mexican border in 2023. Caught. And I talked about Pat this. How many out of the 7-8 million that came over? And mind you, this administration's attitude is come in. Now this happens. You think these people, mind you, and I heard this, Roseanne, I'm pretty sure you did too, that the UN, the Biden administration, has given these 18 to 24-year-old war age fighting men, single. They're not coming over here with families. They give them cards. They give them this money thing where they're like, hey, listen, we'll keep replenishing the money. Here's a cell phone. If we need you, we're going to call you. What are they doing? So and you nailed it, Roseanne. There's two things that happen with this attack. Either A, they knew and they did nothing, or the intelligence, it was just failed again. Either way, somebody has to be held accountable because we have to figure out what the hell is going on.
I think we have to go who benefits the most. So you think about it.
Who do you think?
Well, we're done in Congress with talking about Joe Biden and the Ukraine, right? I think that's all been exposed. But they were just starting to go with what did Joe Biden do in China? What did not just Joe Biden, but all the crime families in D.C., all the all the political prostitutes that say they're representatives and senators, what deals did they make with China? And perhaps what happened there was part of the plan of the owners of the world to distract from that. I think the people that ultimately gain the most from it are the people who are China and the people in D.C. who are fighting and have been fighting since Trump was elected to keep their crimes out of the news, to keep the American people unaware and uneducated and ill-informed of the criminal enterprises they've run against the people and the people's money. So, they've taken public money and put it into private pockets. That's what Congress is and nothing more. So those are the two main beneficiaries I see of this. And also it seems as if Iran is, who backed this, who backed Hamas, it was a suicide mission ultimately because it's not going to stand. Israel's going to go in there house to house. So I feel like Iran sacrificed Hamas because...
Sacrificed?
Yeah, I think it was a sacrifice of Hamas because while the world's looking at Israel going into Gaza and the whole thing, here comes Hezbollah. And that's a big...
From the Lebanon side?
Mm-hmm, that's going to... While everybody's looking here, that's going to come here. So it's like, and they're going to get them in a vice. And I just think the longer Israel waits to retaliate, the better it's going to be, because I think things will come more broadly into understanding. And I don't think that they should do it reflexively. I think they should wait. And I was glad to see they should wait.
What do you mean? They're already attacking Gaza. They're trying to get their hostages out. What do you mean wait?
I think that's a limited strike because they have a lot of men. But I was glad that they are doing a kind of a surgical limited strike there to get the hostages back.
Well, if you take Bibi by his word, he said that they are at war now.
He's a person that he's an interesting person, and the things he does are interesting because he talks big, but then at the end, he always gives up land for peace every time. Did you notice that?
Has Netanyahu given up land?
Yeah.
What, the Golan Heights? What area did he give up?
He always gives up settlements.
Well,
they're called, but they're actually neighborhoods, and he makes the Jews move out of them. He does that.
Well, that was way more under Ariel Sharon and even Ehud Barak, way more than. But that's the whole conversation in Israel is the people on the left say, listen, we need to negotiate with these people. We need to succumb to some of their demands.
Yeah,
the people on the right.
Left.
Yeah, but Netanyahu's not on the left. He's on the right. He's basically saying we can't negotiate with these people. As they famously say, you cannot negotiate with terrorists. So what happened? You just gave $6 billion to Iran to pull out 5 hostages. Where do you think that money went? Probably right to Hamas, probably right to Hezbollah. So, I was starting to frame the conversation with, why did this happen? How did this happen? Well, sometimes when you take your eye off the ball, you miss what's right in front of your face. So Israel, technological powerhouse, arguably the strongest air force and military in the Middle East. And intelligence, of course, the Mossad. According to the Wall Street Journal, they were focused on the wrong war. Why? They're so focused on cybersecurity, they're focused on intelligence, they're focused on air power, they're focused on tech, where they completely just missed the ball. It's like, yeah, there's going to get some freaking bulldozers and some paragliders and just come in and start slaughtering innocent victims.
Well, that's
they
what
didn't
happened
account for
here
that.
on 911. It was box cutters that brought up.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. But is the biggest question, is this Israel's 9/11?
I think the biggest question, I think it is, but a bigger question is, why didn't all that infrastructure work? Was it hacked? Nobody's saying that.
How do you hack a wall?
Well,
I'm talking about the technological infrastructure.
Yeah, because
it wasn't hacked.
We don't know.
We don't know.
What you're saying is, Adam, and from a security standpoint, I get it. There could be stuff happening inside your country and people are fighting. That does not diminish the security apparatus that is set up.
Right.
There is absolutely no excuse for going, well, we're worried about the voting thing. And then, because, dude, think about it. The Iron Dome and all that stuff, everything is set up basically to perfection. So I know what she said.
And they also said that the victims said that the police and the military didn't arrive for 6 to 8 hours.
After it went down.
Yeah.
And by the way, I've seen multiple videos of IDF and Israeli intelligence people saying there's 0% chance that they didn't know this. This is not me saying it. These are people on the ground live in front of a camera saying 0 chance that with our security, we had no idea this is coming. So that's the thing.
What does that mean?
Well, that's I'm telling
they
you what
allowed it to happen?
I don't, Adam, listen, Pearl Harbor gave us justification to get into World War II. 9/11 gave us justification to start the illegal war in the Middle East and expand the military industrial complex. It's like I don't know. Who knows? Because it's like, how many intelligence failures are going to happen?
No, but it's obvious that they want every place under military lockdown. They want all free societies to go that way.
Yep.
Everywhere. But I'm worried because it seems like Israel is the point of the spear for America too. It's our point of the spear in the Middle East, and people want to pretend that it isn't, but it is. It's very Americanized there in many ways. But I'm afraid, that it's like a preview for our country.
Well, just to be clear, I'm not denying or confirming these sort of allegations of but let's state the facts. Mm-hmm. The facts is Israel is the nicest house in a rough neighborhood. Okay?
Very true.
So, would you rather be the nicest house in a shitty neighborhood or the worst house in a beautiful neighborhood? I'll take the latter. If you look at Israel, okay, this economic miracle that's happened since 75 years.
One of the 3 people in Israel live, on government assistance.
Okay, they were founded on social. They're the kibbutz lifestyle. We get that, but when you talk about democracy, we're talking about people having an ability to vote and vote for you go ahead, move to Iran, Roseanne.
No.
Go ahead, move to Syria. Let me know how your life is in Lebanon. Go ahead, go to Gaza and be a loudmouth woman there. Let me know how that works out for you.
No, I'm not.
You're dead.
I'm not saying
okay, so the moral
that.
equivalency is absurd to me. So you're the worst house, you're the nicest house in a shitty neighborhood. What are you supposed to do? Israel, they want peace. And you know what? So does Hamas. The only difference is they want a piece of you over here and they want a piece of you over here and they want to blow everything up. The moral equivalency to me is insane. Israel will before they attack Hamas, they will literally do what's called a roof knock on a building and say, we're about to blow this building up because a missile just came from here. You have 10 minutes, everyone, to get the hell out of here.
No,
do you think that they're giving heads up, Hamas? Do you think Hamas is giving heads up when they're going to kill innocent people?
Why are you making it sound like I support
I'm not
Hamas?
saying that you're supporting Hamas, but the moral equivalency is absurd to me.
Israel told people to leave. They already told, get out because we're coming.
Yeah, but the problem is Hamas is embedded in hospitals, in schools, in houses, and they will shoot from those areas and say, shoot us back.
I know.
So we can have the footage of babies dying and women and children. The only difference is Israel's literally trying to avoid that. Why? Just like the United States is. Because you know why? We actually value human life.
Yeah.
They do not value human life. How do we know this? They actually will provide suicide bombers to accomplish their mission. They do not value life to that capacity. I'm going to say something
about that because I hear this all the time and I don't disagree, but I'm going to tell you why they're like that. Because of the NGOs that pay them. It's called Pay for Slay, and it's for Jewish blood, and it comes from the left. And these leftist NGOs, a lot of them out of Germany, a lot of them out of Switzerland, a lot of them out of Holland, they pay for slay. And those people have no jobs. They have, no hope. And the only way they can make money is to join Hamas and be in a bully gang that not only does what they do to try to kill Jews to get paid, And if they die, their family gets paid, but they also bully all of the Palestinian people around them too. And when people went in there and asked the Palestinian people, where would you rather live, in Israel or under Hamas? The majority of them said they'd rather live in Israel. So you are, this is what I want to say, they are a paid gang. And it's like, the cartels in Mexico that cut people's heads off and stuff like that. They are not representative of the people. They're paid by I call it Nazi NGOs. They're Jew haters, and they're paid by leftists. A lot of it is American leftists, a lot of whom are quote unquote Jewish. I tried to go up in Marin County to talk to them, to confront them up there about why are you paying for, anti-Semitism and death for your own people? Why are you contributing to these causes? And, that was the first time I was ever deplatformed. But that needs to be said. And a lot of those people in Israel, they were, I call them Obama Jews, and he spent a lot of our U.S. tax dollars there for people who are communists and don't like Israel. The number one thing of communists is that they hate Judaism. They hate Jews who practice it. They hate the Bible. They hate God. They don't believe nothing. And that's a lot of who was part of the tearing apart of the social structure in Israel. And the result of which was when Israel's last election, not one leftist was elected to the Knesset, not one, because they finally got it. And hopefully America will get it too. When you're pay for slay, as we do here in America too, with Antifa and BLM, that's pay for slay to burn down cities from a communist takeover of our country. That's what you're going to get. So I hope they do. I was shocked that Hamas would commit suicide like that. But, that's the only way they're going to get paid.
A series of funding agencies have existed over the decades, including Fund for Families of Martyrs and the Injured. The fund is often referred as the Martyrs Fund and pejoratively as Pay for Slaves. It's $300 million, by the way, to fund this.
I think this is very important that you point out, because it is coming from certain factions on the left, whether you look at the George Soros contingency or the Squad or the AOC, whoever the sympathizers on that end. But at the same time, it is also coming from the number one regime of terror in the world, which is Iran. At the end of the day, we could say, all right, well, it's coming from the left and certain people are supporting this. But who funded? This is all Iran.
But who's funding that? Who just sent them $6 billion?
You're precisely right. This is why you cannot negotiate with terrorists. And that we've learned the hard way. That people on the left, no, let's try to work this out. Obama and his apology tour going around, how can we do this? Let's fund the nuclear deal in Iran and let's figure this out. Let's give them $100 billion. Yeah. We have the people on the right or the Trump camp being like, you can give them $10 million, you can give them $100 billion. They're still going to try to fucking kill you.
Yeah.
And, that's not going to stop. So do you want to fund the death, or do we want to actually choke off this money? So it's coming from all sides, but to be clear, it is Iran, number one, that's the funder of terrorism.
And Roseanne,
it's not the people there either. The people are really rebelling against all of that. They're rebelling against the Jarrett
which people?
Obama, the Iranian people.
Well, exactly.
Not the politicians, not the leaders, the people, because they know what's about to happen.
I mean, you can go speak for days about this. They know.
They know what's. So here's the parties involved here, right? Let's look at the parties involved. We got Hamas. We got Hezbollah. We got obviously Iran funding it. There was reports about the fact that Hamas has been training 1,000 soldiers on. They built a city identical to a city in Israel and trained on how to break in and how to go in and take the hostages and bring them. And they're like, what are we training for? We can't tell you what we're training for. We're just preparing in case something happens. And then all of a sudden, okay, here's what we're training for. We're attacking Israel. So then you have Saudi Arabia is also involved in this. Iran's involved in this. Then you got potentially Russia involved in this, China involved in this, and U.S. involved in this. there's a lot of parties involved in even Egypt right now. Netanyahu saying, hey, if you're living in Hamas, go. If you're living in
Gaza,
go to Egypt just to make sure you're safe. But Iran, you think the Iranian people are sitting there wanting to see this happen? Dude, all of a sudden, the targets, and you're hearing Nikki Haley screaming off the top of her lungs, we have to attack Iran. And you have all these guys screaming, we have to do this. So they're sitting there saying, we don't support this. But this could go zero to World War III in seconds. By the way, just to say this.
I wanted to say, when I was in Israel, something really miraculous happened. I was there, and our people I was with, our phones rang. I don't know how this happened, but our phones rang, and it was people from Iran were calling us. I don't know how they got our phone numbers or anything. And they just said, we want you, hi, we're calling you from Iran, and we want you to know that we love Israel and we love the Jewish people. We are calling you to let you know that we don't go along with our government. And it was just, all my hairs are standing remembering. And I knew that something even bigger than every government on this earth, every compromised government, something even bigger than that's happening between people. And that's what I hold on to and hope for all the children of this world. I think something really big and good is going to happen, is happening, and I want to increase that. I know that in Iran, I hope this isn't offensive to anybody, but people are, on a grassroots level, I know, they are really becoming, they're converting to Christianity like crazy, like they are in China too. And so they're becoming like more westernized. And also Muslim people are becoming less fundamentalist. So all these things are happening also. And so maybe the owners of the world don't like that so much. So they have to stir the pot to keep people divided and hateful towards each other. I always say it will be such a great day when all the hate we feel for each other, if just for one moment we could take all that hate and channel it upward to the people who are at fault, who cause it all, instead of each other. I think something smart is happening in all of us, and that is happening. I don't know if it'll take 100 years or maybe even a blink of an eye, but I feel that that's happening too, and maybe God won't let the world blow up.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.